Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Aim Saraswati Namaha. Om Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhur Bhuvaswaha Tat Saviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Krishnaya Vasudevaya Hare Paramatmane प्रणत क्लेश नाशाय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। ओम त्र्यंबकं यजामहे सुगंधिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मोक्षीयमामृतात्। ओम शांति शांति शांति। Hari Om Tat Sat. Welcome to today's Yog Vashisth Satsang. आप सबका स्वागत है. Our humble prostrations to the all-pervading Brahman, our worshipful Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayananda Ji Maharaj, to all sages and saints, all our holy scriptures, and to the divinity in each of you. Aap sabka mangal ho, kalyan ho. May you all enjoy this bliss and the nectar of satsanga. When many merits from many lifetimes come together, one is blessed with the spiritual nectar, where your interest automatically gravitates towards higher spiritual goals, not the transient worldly goals. तो जब भगवान का कृपा हमारे ऊपर बरसता है हम सब पर, we are extremely grateful to the divine energy, our Gurudev, and to all of you, your own self-effort also. That's how we all are able to walk on this holy path together. It's a sacred journey we are all on. So consistency, faith, persistence, all of these things are required on a regular and consistent basis. Let us pray for good health for each one of you and for the whole universe. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. May all be happy. May all be healthy. May all see the good in others without any anger, jealousy, or greed. Just love everybody on this path, and may we all continue on this spiritual journey. That is the wisdom of the Vedas, the Upanishads, and all the spiritual scriptures. That is the essence. Every guru, every realized teacher teaches the same thing. Ekam sat vipra bahuda vadanti. There is only one truth, but it is expressed in multiple ways, many, many different ways. But essence is the same. Water may be called by different names in different languages, but it serves the same purpose. Much in the same way, all these scriptures are created to connect us with the divine energy, ब्रह्मांडीय शक्ति, जिसको हम ईश्वर बोलते हैं, उससे जोड़ती है. It connects us to that. So may all benefit from this satsanga that we all collectively do every week. Actually, 2 satsangas, Fridays and then on Sundays we do Bhagavad Gita. So let us get the blessings of worshipful Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayanand Maharaj, who continues to inspire all of us by his own life, by his own teachings, and every word that he speaks is now a blessing and in our DNA also. So Swamiji's message for today, blessed self, adorations. In your thoughts, think of the glory of God. In your thoughts. It's called Smarana Shakti. Why? Because then our last thought also will be one of a spiritual nature. If we have nothing but worldly thoughts at the time of our departure, only worldly thoughts will come. So therefore, think of the glory of God every day, all the time. This body, mind, senses, intellect, ego, the world we live in, everything is permeated by nothing but God. So God, you can call God by any name. He doesn't mind it. You call him Jesus, you call him Krishna, Allah, you call him Rama, Hanumanji, anything, any name, any form, because it's all him anyway. It's just like somebody calling you by your pet name, your mom calling you by a different name. All the other things we do as human beings is purely ignorance. Ignorance. When we say this is the only path, anybody who uses the word the only, run away from there, because that cannot be true. That means they're themselves deluded. So let your mind be occupied with the divine majesty that permeates this creation. What else could you do? There is no other choice. This creation, when you look at the Himalayas, when you look at the rivers, you look at the oceans, you look at the blue sky, you look at the grass, you look at little tiny ants. Who has created these things? You also, your own body, your breath, your thoughts. Did you just emerge out of nothing? No, there is a higher power which is operating in you. And the minute that power pulls the plug, we are no more. So therefore, that majesty is permeating in every atom in the creation. Do not keep your mind always involved in the ordinary chores of life. What are the ordinary chores of life? Eating, drinking, making merry, watching TV all the time, gossiping, having fun. That's okay to some extent, but you have to understand that daily don't get stuck in the meshes of this Maya. Maya meaning illusion, because before you know it, decades of your life will go on passing by. And one day we will be old and wrinkled, tired, ready to depart, and then we will say, what happened? So those souls who are making the effort now, उठ जाग मुसाफिर भोर भई अब रैन कहाँ जो सोवत है. When the sunshine and the rain is there, a good farmer makes use of that time and tills his land, just like all of us are trying to do now. We should continue this effort. So even during the daily chores, while sweeping, dusting, cleaning, working, driving your car, continue to chant your mantra. Doesn't cost you anything extra. Same time you can spiritualize while also doing your chores. So don't let your mind behave like a monkey going backwards or forward. We are always never in the present moment. We are always thinking about our retirement, our 401ks, our financial security, what will happen to this, what will happen to that, or we are going back in the past and saying, I enjoyed that moment, or that moment was this and that. That doesn't help you in any way. So do the things that are going to elevate you and take you to a different, higher dimension. Rather, lifting your mind beyond all this, learn the art of meditation. Dhyana, it's called dhyana. And we are currently doing that in Kundalini Yoga. Lots of beautiful meditations that Swamiji is discussing and I am narrating in YouTube. So spiritualize your life, take that extra moment and learn to go within. Many of us do not know how to meditate properly. We are scared. We see darkness when we try to go in because we have not invested the time to purify the within. And it's an absolute must for a spiritual aspirant. The growth will happen inwards only. All the scriptures guide you there. So first we have to read, then we have to practice. Internally surrender to God. Surrender, surrender, surrender. It's called Sharanagati. Sharanagati. So when we do Sharanagati, then we are able to surrender unconditionally. If we want things, then all we do is we try to solve worldly problems. But when you are trying to get God, then your focus shifts from worldly problems to spiritual dimensions. And as we meditate, we are mopping the floors of our inside, cleaning, dusting, just like your outside. You like your outside clean? What about our inside? Also, that is required. Enjoy the sweetness of mystic peace. Mystic peace is a rare word. Most people say peace, 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 but all we do is we go to pieces. We don't see the peace. We don't feel the peace. We are running from here to there. We don't know what peace looks like till we make this effort. And when you do, you will find it. You will say, I've been running here and there, but it's within me. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Within you is the nectar, the fountain of joy, the perpetual peace within. If you understand that the divine hand is always operating for your own good, your joys and miseries all have meaning. So, resign to the divine plan. Leave it in God's capable hands. Nothing happens by chance. Nothing. Even when you are facing pain, misery, adversity, difficult times, know that there is divine intelligence operating behind it. There is a reason, like dirty clothes have to get washed. They spin around in the washing machine. In old days in India, on the riverside, they bang them against stones. So a lot of pain has to go on to get cleansed. Look at gold. When it's taken out of a big mountain, how much gold? Very little. And then how much heat it has to go through, how much pressure it has to go through. Only then it becomes expensive and valuable. Much in the same way, when we face adversities, God is making us stronger, and we are also purging our karma. So don't complain, don't reduce, try to get frustrated, accept it, like you go get your surgery done at the hospital. When you have no choice, you know that's the only choice. You willingly submit yourself and go under the operating table, and you heal eventually, you get better. Much in the same way, when adversities come, do sharanagati. Sharanagati. Give it attention, give it its due, and then the misery will also go away. When you become aware of the majesty of divine presence, how can there be room for grief and sorrow? So no grief, no sorrow, it all goes away when you give yourself to the divine energy. Just be. That is the beautiful message that Swamiji has given us. May God bless you. Thine, Swami Jyotirmayananda Ji Maharaj. Hari Om Tat Sat. So with that prayer, let us chant the Kirtan together, and then we will get into Yoga Vashistha. Jaya Ganesh, Jaya Ganesh, Jaya Ganesh, Pahi Mam, Shri Ganesh, Shri Ganesh, Jaraksham, Sharavana Bhava, Sharavana Bhava, Sharavana Bhava, Pahi Mam. Kartikeya, 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 Rakshamam. Jaya Saraswati, Jaya Saraswati, Jaya Saraswati, Pahi Mam. Shri Saraswati, Shri Saraswati, Shri Saraswati, Rakshamam. Jaya Guru Shiva Guru Hari Guru Ram. Jagat Guru Param Guru Sad Guru Sham. Adi Guru Advait Guru Anand Guru Om. Ched Guru Ched Ghan Guru Chinmaya Guru Om. Ched Guru Ched Ghan Guru Chinmaya Guru Om. Jagat Guru Om Guru Sachitananda Shankaracharya Shivananda Jyotirmaya Nanda. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Shiva 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 Shivaya Namah Om. Hare 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 Namah Shivaya. Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Ramachandraya. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Anjaneya, 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 Pahi Mam. Hanumanta, 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 Raksha Mam. Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Om Shakti, Pahi Mam. Brahma Shakti, Vishnu Shakti, Shiva Shakti, Raksha Mam. Adi Shakti, Mahashakti, Parashakti, Pahi Mam. Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Raksha Mam. Ganga Rani, Ganga Rani, Ganga Rani, Pahi Mam. Bhagirathi, 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 Raksha Mam. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Hari, Hari Om. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Hari, Hari Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. Hari Om. So let us continue our journey on the holy scripture Yoga Vashistha. Those of you who have been following it regularly, we know that we are currently studying this wonderful story of the Vipaschita and King Bhasa, how King Bhasa had emerged from the embodiment of a deer and came into the palace. And then he was narrating all his experiences that he had experienced in many, many embodiments. Kai sharir aakar chale gaye. Many embodiments came and went. So today we will be studying section 136. We are in Nirvana Prakarana, in the concluding stages of Yoga Vashistha. And when it ends, we will start it all over again. So those of you who came in the middle will get the full view of Yoga Vashistha, and it continues for a long time. They say if you study this whole scripture under a competent master, you are sure to get self-realized, because it brings so much depth and vairagya and the knowledge of the Vedas and Vedanta in beautiful stories. But you have to be regular, sincere, and put in your self-effort also. So both ways. Today, Nirvana means self-realization. That's what that means. And the chapter itself is Nirvana Prakarana. Bhasa asked the fire god about the story of the gigantic corpse. The fire god related the story as follows. Agni Devata, it's called fire god. The fire god said, there is the ether of consciousness, which is formless and all pervasive. And we know that that's our own personal experience also, that consciousness does not take any space. When you sleep, the same consciousness creates, in your sleep, it creates vast dreams where you are riding on a horse, or you are seeing mountains, or you are in a distant land. All that is part of the space within you that has been created. So that is the mystery of this beautiful nature of consciousness. It is formless and it is all pervasive. So the countless world systems float in that ether like dust particles. Think of this world, nothing more than a dust particle in the larger scheme of the cosmos. That's what it is. So what to speak of our body in that? Just as there arises a dream person out of one's consciousness, in the same way, out of Brahman, the ether of consciousness, there arose a particle of light. That particle is there in all of the cosmos and in all of the jivas, jiva, you and me, and everything that breathes and moves. So this particle of light then projected the senses, body, and the world composed of elements. That is the mystery of that consciousness, and therefore we cannot explain it through senses, through our mouth, through our eyes, ears, nose, touch, taste, smell. We cannot explain that energy. It is beyond our senses. So in this world, there existed a jiva. Jiva is a soul, and God is the macrocosm, jiva, the microcosm. So like taking a drop out of the ocean, we become the drop and God becomes the ocean. Think of it that way. So justifying his name, he was demoniac in nature. Jiva is a mixed bag. He is not, that's why he has to be purified. Jiva is you and me. And we have gone through countless cycles of life and death. And since the jiva is not in tune, sur means tune. You see, you must have seen musicians tune their instruments before they start to perform. And that is what it is. When the tuning is out, the same instrument sounds horrible. It creates noise, discord, not good to hear. But when you tune it, it becomes melodious, joyful, and blissful. And we all enjoy that music. Much in the same way, we are out of tune, and therefore we have this animalistic tendency. It's called asurik sampatti. That has to be corrected, fixed. So he incurred the wrath of a sage whose ashram he had destroyed due to his demoniac nature. The sage cursed him to become a mosquito. Here in this section, we are studying the story of the gigantic corpse and how different embodiments occur. So the fire of the curse consumed his body, of the asura's body, and he entered into an unconscious state and drew to himself the subtle elements in certain proportions. Then he began to experience himself as a mosquito, because he was cursed to be one, having a lifespan of only 2 days. But that lifespan for a mosquito is his life. In those 2 days, he reproduces, he runs through his whole life cycle. Much like we go through our life cycle, supposedly 100 years, but few live to be 100 these days. As a mosquito, he enjoyed sporting with a she mosquito while swinging on the blades of the tender grass. He has no illusion of time. He doesn't know what 2 days mean in his lifetime. At this stage of the story, Sri Rama wanted to know about the difference between the birth of great sages, such as the Sanat Kumaras and others who arose out of Brahma's mind, and that of other jivas who are in the realm of ignorance. In other words, what's the difference between realized beings and those who are not realized? Jivas, ignorant souls. So Sri Vashistha explained that the saints and illumined personalities arise as an illusory modification of Brahman, while the latter arises out of delusion. So just like when we are in sattva, we have pure thoughts, holy thoughts, good desires. But when we are in rajas and tamas, we have worldly thoughts, selfish thoughts sometimes. Sometimes greed comes in, jealousy comes in, hatred comes in. Much in the same way, think of Brahma in his pure thoughts, creating these illumined sages. And when he is down at that level, at the dream level, then in that the Srishti comes into being. Srishti is called Prakriti, and Prakriti by nature is Rajas meaning worldly activity. So that is why the world is created, and you need the jivas in the world also. That's how the world will function. So there will be good and bad, ethical and unethical, day and night, profit and loss, life and death. You see how they alternate? So that will happen. The fire god continued the story of the mosquito. Then, while the mosquito was enjoying its life, suddenly a deer came by, and the giant foot of the deer crushed the mosquito to death. Life is so uncertain. All it takes is one little thing, one little mishap, and we depart. In the same way, the mosquito departed. Then the soul of the mosquito entered into the embodiment of a deer. Why was that? Because his last thought was that of him being killed by the deer. All his attention went there. In course of time, the deer was killed by the hunter. That's what hunters do. And he incarnated in his next life as a hunter because of the last impressions in the mind of the deer. So from a asura to a mosquito to a deer to a hunter, back in human embodiment. So you see, when we say we have been ants and mosquitoes and plants and trees, it's not fiction. We are not saying this as if it's not true. It's all very, very true. The cycle continues on, and it is infinite. That is why in this human embodiment, we say it is the rarest of the rare opportunity to forever terminate the cycle of life and death. Only few souls realize this and work towards it, but eventually we are all like a river rushing towards the ocean. Eventually we all have to merge whenever the timing is right. So this is why we say Manushyatvam Mumukshutvam Mahapurusha Samshrayaha, meaning human embodiment, desire for liberation, and a spiritual preceptor, a competent teacher, a guru, a master. When the combination of three things happens, that is the rarest of the rarest gifts you can receive. Not mansions, not billions of dollars, not every worldly desire you can think of. Because why is that? Because all that ends with your body. None of it can go. Not a broken eye of a needle will accompany us. So that is why the sages and saints guide us on this journey. So the Muni said, O Vyadha, hunter, why are you wandering in delusion? Ah, Muni said, meaning that soul from a mosquito to a deer to all this back and forth to a hunter finally comes into contact with a sage, a rishi, a muni, a spiritual preceptor who gave him satsanga. Remember Valmiki, the hunter who was highway robber, killer, who wrote the Ramayana? In one lifetime, from being a killer and a hunter, he became a great sage. In one embodiment, it is possible. Anything is possible. Question is, how hungry are we? What do we want out of this? So the Muni said, O Vyadha, O hunter, why are you wandering in delusion? Why did the Muni say that? He could have kept quiet and moved on. And the Vyadha could have also said, mind your own business. Why are you telling me all this? But you see, sages and saints are full of compassion. They see the souls as souls. They don't see them as bodies. They want to help. Some will get help, some will not be helped. But unfortunately, that is how this world functions. And whenever the aspirant is ready, the Guru arrives to guide and help with love and unconditional bliss. Continues the journey. He says, why do you perpetuate a miserable existence by killing the deer? Said the sage. Why? Because when we go hunting and we take a life just so we can get excitement, joy, and we kill an innocent life, we have committed a sin, whether we like it or not, whether people agree with it or not. According to the divine law, we have done something wrong, something unethical. Because a lion, if you were, it was perfectly normal. A lion does not commit sin when he kills a cow or a goat or a deer. That's his food. He's been created like that to manage creation. But when human beings do that, they can't even digest it properly. So they have made forks and knives, because God has automatically given that to the tigers and the lions and the bears, isn't it? They have it ready-made, folks. They are not committing any sin, but we as humans are. That's why the sage took it upon himself to guide that hunter. He says, why don't you take recourse to great virtues such as non-violence, grant fearlessness to all creatures, and perform a righteous deed that will lead you to immortality. So he gave that Vyadha, that hunter, a profound lesson. He says, life on this earth is transient, isn't it? Transient. We are here today, tomorrow we will not be here. It is like a drop descending from a cloud. And the enjoyments of the world are fleeting like lightning flashes. We can't hold them. Can you? Can you secure anything? Is there anything you call your own? Only while you're alive you call it your own. The minute you're gone, your ownership is gone. Do you have any control what others will do with it? They may throw it away. They may save it. The pleasures of youth are transient like the waves in a river. The body is perishable, isn't it? Therefore, O my son, says the sage to the Vyadha, try to attain self-realization with the help of a guru and the scriptures. So he must have done some good karmas to find a guru, a sage, a teacher who showed him the right path. Otherwise, who knows how many more embodiments he would have tumbled into and gone on like that. Moving on to section 137, insight into the dream world. The Vyadha, the hunter, asked, O sage, he's asking a question, as he should, because that's his living. That's how he earns his money, right? He says, oh sage, if killing animals produces pain, then tell me what type of conduct will lead me to the cessation of pain? What should I do? Valmiki asked the same question from Narada after he realized that nobody would share his sin. They will only share his wealth. See? The Muni asked the hunter to abide with him, to practice the conduct of holy men and devote his life to the cultivation of virtues and the practice of reflection. It's called Shravan Manan Nididhyasan, what you and I are currently doing. That is what the sage asked the Vyadha also to do. He asked him to practice, follow with patience the teachings, and then cultivate virtues, eradicate vices. Purify, purify, purify. That's what we say. After some time, by listening to the satsangas, bhajans, kirtans, glories, what was happening? The inside was getting cleansed. The heart of the Vyadha became purified and he became reflective. See, we are desensitized, but once we start feeling that sensation, changes occur. He approached the Muni and asked, O Guruji, O Lord, tell me, how does the dream that arises within a person seem to be like the other world, outer world? How does the outer world enter in the heart of a living being and appear as a dream? Why is this world experienced externally in the waking state and internally in the dream state? So what happened? As beautiful question, right? We always discuss waking, dream, deep sleep states. So Vyadha also, after listening Shravana Manana Nididhyasan, after listening and contemplation and some deep thinking, he asked that. And the Muni, the Rishi, the ever compassionate Guru replied, he says, I too had similar doubts during the early days of my yogic practices, meaning each lit candle can light an unlit candle, isn't it? But if both the candles are unlit, then they need light from the third candle. So the Guru is sharing that he was also lit, just like the Vyadha is getting the knowledge, just like we are getting the knowledge from the Guru, our Guruji here. You can see him so beautifully behind. So that is what we are talking about. These so-called self-manufactured gurus in today's day and age, in YouTube channels, here, there, everywhere, are not helping this world. 60–70% of them are themselves lost. Few teachers are pure, honest, and they will not run after people. They will be not so well known perhaps, but they will be the real gems, the diamonds in the rough. Somewhere you will find, your heart will tell you. Otherwise, and always, always, always try to find the lineage of the Guru. Does he have a Guru, or is he self-made? Self-made millionaires. He wrote a book and he became famous. No, that can give you name, fame, money, but forget about enlightenment and this higher knowledge. This only comes through humility, love, and sharanagati, surrender. So he too said, at that time, I had not yet developed the maturity of discriminative intellect, he says, meaning he also needed purification, like we all do. And then we reach that state. Every sinner is a saint in the making. Every sinner. So just like Valmiki became a saint, we should not judge anybody by just their actions for now, because we all have potential to change. We just have to decide to do it. When we decide, miracles can happen. So in order to find answers to questions regarding the dream and waking states, I sat in a lotus pose and I also practiced samadhi. So this word we call meditation is, do not underestimate it. That is the one that will open up your consciousness, that will remove the curtains of illusion and eventually give you liberation, mukti. But it has to be done gradually. You try to jump 4 steps at once, you break your legs. So therefore, each step has to be secured. You can't immediately go into a master's degree. First you study, go from sequential process, and you will know wherever you are in different stages of your spiritual evolution. So do not be in a rush. Enjoy the journey with faith and patience, and then you will be guided. The divine light will come to guide you. He says, then I adopted the technique of entering another person's body, parakaya pravesh. These things they used to be there, they're still there, but very few people have this knowledge of coming out of your own body and entering into another body. It's a science, it's like a siddhi, but it is not needed. For self-realization, you don't need these siddhis. They may come, but in today's Kali Yuga, we have decontaminated ourselves so much that very few people now have them. But during that time, a lot of people easily got them because there was a lot of purity already, and then they would purify themselves even more and get to that point. Shankaracharya ji did the same thing in one of the debates. He had to experience his what a king lived like, how he thought, how he raised a family. So he took out his own breath, left his body in a cave, and stayed in the king's body for 2 months, and then he came back into it. These are subtle details, but they don't really, they are impertinent from your perspective and my perspective. These are just know that the divine energy can give you lots of things, but then if you get lost in siddhis, you may lose your goal also. So that comes to only people who are very advanced and who can digest it. That is important. So he says, I became one with prana, the vital energy, and with the act of exhalation. He says, I left my own body and entered the body of my disciple who was sleeping soundly. In those days, there used to be Gurukul systems. Gurukul meaning Guru's family. Kul means family. So the Guru would raise serious aspirants like all of you, except now you're all living in different places and we all meet for 1 hour. There, that study was much more intense, where the students would serve the master, cut the wood, cook the food, and then like a live-in hostel or an ashram. So they would basically be living like that. So he entered into one of his disciples' breath, and he says, the jiva of the disciple drew me along with his incoming breath, because he became so subtle, just like the prana, and he went into it. I found myself in the midst of the network of nadis, vital channels, and their varied functions, as if drowning in the hot currents of an ocean. So he experienced that. Sometimes you see that in movies also. Honey, I grew up the kids, or Honey, I shrunk the kids. They show the body going inside the blood and the vessels and so on. Sometimes science documentaries are done this way about virus and so on. So that's what happens here, except it was this Muni going into the disciple. See, he says, it was the hot currents of the ocean, as if fallen into hellish regions filled with blood, phlegm, and the digestive fluids, the inner workings of the body. Then I found my way into the heart of the jiva, heart of the jiva, which is called the, those of you who are currently studying the Kundalini Yoga in YouTube, that we have those every day, that is called the Anahata Chakra, the heart center. That's got the color green. So the Anahata Chakra, and there I entered the mystic flame and was able to witness the experiences of the jiva, right from where the dreams arise. That's why they say for meditation, serious aspirants should focus on heart chakra, Vishuddhi, Agya. Vishuddhi not so much, because Vishuddhi operates anyway during your sleep. It's the Vishuddhi chakra that gives you the dream. During your departure from this world, the last breath we take, it's the separation of the Vishuddhi chakra that opens up the channels, and then out you go. So don't be scared of departure from this life. Nothing happens. It's a joyful journey. It's actually much more beautiful than us living currently in this miserable world. It's called Anityam Asukham Lokam. Impermanent, Anityam. Why? Because it's transient. Today something, tomorrow something, this grief, that happiness, little while, this comes and goes, that also comes and goes. So Asukham, there is no such thing as true happiness in this world. Why? Because the sword of death is hanging on everyone. Whether you are a king, or you are a billionaire, or you are a pauper, or you are a person, human being, mosquito, ant, plant, tree, whatever, doesn't matter. So Anityam Asukham Lokam Bhajasva Prapyamam. So just chant the glories of God and find an exit strategy, like smart people do. Otherwise, we'll keep tumbling from one bucket into another one. He says, then he found the mystic flame and was able to witness the experience of the jiva. So from where the movie of the dream was being played, he reached that spot. In the dream of the jiva, there were mountains, the shining sun, oceans, gods, demons, human beings, cities, directions and continents, the time in its three aspects, the seasons, and all that is seen in this world. Contemplate that for a minute. The aspirant is sleeping. The Guru has gone in through his pranic breath. And what is he seeing? A whole cosmos inside the small space of the heart. That space, when magnified, becomes your dream, and you are able to see different things. And when you wake up, that space is gone, just like cloud data. You don't see the cloud data, but you have it. So that's what happens with this mystery. And the sage realized it by experimenting it with his disciple. He says, I reflected upon the miraculous power of divine consciousness. Miraculous power. Because this consciousness, this Atma, is way beyond our foolish intellects, our big titles, our clothes, our name, our fame, our houses, our possessions. Way beyond that. That's why when somebody touches that, they are outside in a transcendental world. Nothing matters. This world becomes as insignificant as a straw. That's the experience. So he says, which creates the illusion of dream, much like the dream in your dream, the delayed dream is your current life. We call my world, my possessions, my family, my home, my country, my car, my, oh my. The my never ends. I realize that both the dream and waking are nothing but extensions of one's own consciousness. Think about it. This is a deep, deep satsang that the sage is guiding us through his own personal experience. And very few people can digest it. Most will not be able to understand the profundity of it. But when you open your eyes, you see the elephant. If you have eyes, you can see the elephant and say it's an elephant. It takes you less than a second to say so. But if you don't have eyes and we are blind, and we have never seen an elephant before, you can never ever do justice. You will say it's a rope, it's a snake, it's a this, it's a that, it's a pillar, it's a wall. And some other intellectual will come and say it's a combination of a pillar, a snake, and a wall. All of them are ignorant, and not only ignorant, totally wrong, totally off base. So therefore, consciousness, Atma Sakshatkar, what we call as divine Chakshu, the eyes to see God, then those are the eyes with which all you have to do is take 1 second glance and say, oh, there it is. That's what it is. So first we have to though understand that state. So even in the waking experience, in dream, is nothing but dream. Everything is like an illusion. We are all flowing like a river, trying to merge into the ocean. But yet we get so caught up. What's happening here? Why did this person do this? Why did that happen to me? And this and that, as if we have come here permanently. So he says, wakefulness and dream are both illusory in nature by his personal experience. And as he saw, that was not just a thought. He actually went in there. Even today, many gurus, and this is how I think our Guru has transformed us, and so many of you connected with us, because the subtle energy who are even more advanced don't even need to go inside our bodies. Just like first they used to open up our hearts to do heart surgery, now they do smaller surgeries by putting that little scope in, isn't it? What we call the little camera. So science is improving, and so even today, these self-realized masters, just by their gaze, it's called Shaktipat. You may have heard of it. So they can give you that Shakti through their presence, through their satsangs, through their voice, through space, and also touch. It can be through different forms, but it's all the grace. And sometimes all you need is that, and that little knock on your head, that little look in the eye, and your life changes. Just like this Vyadha, the hunter, imagine killing deer and this and that and living his life like that, and all of a sudden he's asking a question about dream and deep sleep and how to lead a good, pure, ethical life. So even the experiences of one's dream is a form of a dream, because when you're dreaming, nothing else matters. Do you think you're dreaming when you're dreaming? Do you even know you're dreaming? The only time you come to know you're dreaming, you were dreaming. It has to become past tense when you wake up. And if you remember, sometimes you don't remember, but if you remember, then you'll say, oh, it was a dream. Thank God. If it was a nightmare, you say, thank God, I was dreaming. So the self is immortal. That same self that is in you and me, same self, no difference. That's why we say that every sinner is a saint in the making. Every soul will merge into the ocean. So we should never underestimate our own self. We should never say, oh, I have no hope. I have already committed so many wrong things, Swamiji. What should I do? Oh, this is that. No, no, no. We are all the same. Every wave will merge back into the ocean. So therefore, we have to resolve to try to change our lives, and then good things will happen. Miracles will happen. So the self experiences birth and death as if it is a dream. Imagine yourself, your Atma, your consciousness, your soul being the person like you. Just imagine that. Just like you dream every night and you go through some deep sleep, you dream, you wake up, you go through these stages, your soul is also going through these stages. Does that make sense? It's going through the stages in the form of a mosquito, a hunter, a this, a that, a deer. Soul is the same, just the dream has changed. Sometimes in a deer embodiment, sometimes in a mosquito embodiment, sometimes in a human embodiment. And when, what should we do to gain enlightenment? Nobody. Become a nobody. Give it all to the divine energy. Merge into that cosmic consciousness. You cannot do it all by yourself. It has to be done by your effort and grace. Both are needed. So, therefore, even though thousands of bodies may be destroyed through repeated embodiments, the self remains unaffected. Are you understanding what we are trying to say? So that's what we are trying to say. Thousands of embodiments are like just a wave in the ocean. So therefore, the self does not get affected. Do you get affected by your dreams? Do you ask yourself, why did I dream like that? Why did that snake come in my dream? You don't, right? Just happened, it's gone. Why did I become a mosquito? Why did I did this? So these are called the vrittis, the sanskaras, different sanskaras that are part of our consciousness are all mixed up. So the self, just like you don't get affected, you wake up, get ready, go to work. If you're retired, you make your cup of tea or you watch something and you lead your life. Much in the same way, the self also watches and watches and watches, waiting to see when we will wake up. It cannot force you. Just like when in your dream, if you are being bitten by a snake and you are going through the pain, the poison is affecting you, you feel like you are dying, there is nobody to save you, and you are miserable, and you are sweating, and you are in pain. What happens? Nothing can happen. A fake person to trying to help your snake bite in the same dream cannot cure you. What's your cure? Wake up. Wake up. That's the only cure. Jo sar sapne kaate koi, bin jaage dukh dur na hoi. When somebody wants to chop our head off in a dream, that will not cure our problem. The only thing is we have to wake up. A dream savior cannot save us. Much in the same way, this delayed dream also has to be transcended. A jiva experiences dream when consciousness is less externalized. So, we are the jiva, the contaminated ones. God is pure, Therefore, he is Paramatman, Paramatman, and we are Jivatman because of ignorance, the layers of avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, klesha. You see these 5 perpetual obstacles that we come with in any human embodiment, and they grow over time if we don't cure the problem. So what happens? We have ignorance, then we have ego, we have attachments, we have hatred, and we have fear. Fear of death. Nobody wants to die. Everybody knows we have to die. Nobody wants to die. Why is that? Because by definition, we are Sat, Chit, Ananda. We are truth, knowledge, bliss, absolute. So we, in essence, the Atma can never die. You see the consciousness, the Jiva Atman, the Jiva changes forms and the Atma never dies. It's that simple. But we create all this complexity and fear, and we think, oh, what will happen? I will lose this, I will lose that. Nothing is lost. You have had many, many embodiments like this, and you will continue the cycle unless you interrupt it, you break it, you change it, you put in the effort, and not simple effort. You have to put in a lot of sincere, earnest effort where God consumes you and you consume God. You become one with him, even while you are in your present embodiment. So that doesn't mean you stop all functions. You keep God as an underlying energy, blessing you, feel his presence in all your activities, and dedicate your life to God. That is what we are saying. It's not just being religious, it's not being ritualistic, it's being practical. It's about your soul. We are talking about the perpetual cycles of life and death. You miss this opportunity, there'll be another boat waiting for you. But where that boat will take you, who knows? In this case, the mosquito became a deer, the deer became a hunter. Who knows if in this case he finally met the sage? What would happen if he didn't meet the sage? Do you think he would have changed? Do you think a hunter would have changed if that sage would not have asked him those difficult questions? Why do you kill? What do you get out of it? Why don't you change? That is why they say a guru is a savior, because he interrupts your comfortable pattern. Any guru who only gives you more luxuries and puts you into more comforts is not a guru at all. He is actually deluded. He is misguiding you. A true guru will take you out of your comfort zone and ask you to do the things that you have been avoiding to do. Give you Brahma Vidya, the knowledge of the self. So then the Muni says, this Rishi says, then I wanted to examine the nature of deep sleep. He saw the dream. He saw the dream. We all discussed it. How beautifully. He says, then the soul, when the soul becomes tired of seeing the world in dream and waking, it thus reflects, what have I to do with the world process in the form of dream and waking worlds? What happens is, the soul is dejected. He says, there's nothing that lasts. The world is full of misery. My dream is full of misery. There is nothing that is permanent here. So he says, let me withdraw the functions of the mind. How does deep sleep occur? When the mind relaxes. Mind you, the mind has to relax. So what is happening here? In your daily work, can you function without your mind? No. Who will pay you? They will say, you have to think, and you have to think through your mind and intellect. In your dream also, your mind is active. Your mind is not sleeping. You are sleeping, your body is sleeping, your senses are relaxed, but the mind is working. Your pranas are working, your breath is flowing. Although you don't know it, because you have thrown away the tensions of the world and you have entered into another world, isn't it? You have simply switched the world. Like from your house, you go from one room into another room. You cannot be in both the rooms at the same time, can you? Can you be in your living room and in your bedroom at the same time, at the same place? No, not possible. You can either be in one room or the other one. Much in the same way, you can either be in a waking state or in a dream state, or in a deep sleep. So either one, they all are only one at a time. You cannot be this and that. That's what the sage is trying to say. The soul becomes tired of thinking, the mind is tired, and the mind says, I'm going to sleep. So think of it this way. When you go to sleep, you dream. When your mind goes to sleep, you go into deep sleep. No more dream. No more. So now your body is sleeping and your mind is also sleeping. And when those two things happen, magic occurs. You go into a state of, many call it nothingness. I don't know. I slept so comfortably, I didn't even know. You wake up refreshed from your deep sleep state. So when the mind withdraws its functions, when the mind sleeps, then alone there arises the state of deep sleep. And we all go through it every night, every day. It's our practical living experience. And God is showing us a perfect example of our microcosm, of his macrocosm, happening daily. And yet we say, where is God? How do we get God? What should we do? How should we get it? By doing this, what we are doing now, reading these precise, deep scriptures, so we understand Vedanta and Upanishads and these scriptures are full of logic, reasoning, questions. Many people say, oh, no, you should not ask questions. Upanishads say, why not? If you don't ask questions, how will you grow? If you are confused, how will you improve? So ask away, but ask with humility, ask with love, ask with a willingness to learn, not to prove somebody wrong, not to show your arrogance or superiority. That is not. If, in other words, become a sincere aspirant and keep on asking questions till you are satisfied. And if that guru cannot satisfy, leave that guru, go somewhere else who can give you the answer. Because even if God comes and tells you 2 + 2 = 3, you should question and say, but God, we have always learned 2 + 2 is 4. So please guide us. Why are you saying 2 + 2 = 3? See? So if that is in Vedanta, that is scientific, it's science, and science is also converging into spirituality now. All this metaphysics, the philosophy, theology, all of these are converging into each other. There is not much difference left, because we simply only know so little. We have only gone to Mars, and what we are saying is that these are dust particles. Earth is a dust particle, Mars is a dust particle, and the cosmos that has been created is so huge that the dimensions are way out of our wildest imaginations. Even science admits to that. So we have to be respectful, honor God's world, and have faith in it, and say, we simply don't know God. We don't know all the things you have created. Give us the ability to understand and to merge into you. This is what this Muni is doing. That's what the yogis did. This is why the questions they can answer with so much dexterity, with so much love, with so much authority. When they say something, somebody who has experienced something has a much better command over it than somebody who has not. A surgeon who has actually committed, who has done so many surgeries can easily do it. But somebody who has never done it, he will kill that person trying to do that surgery. He's not competent. He's not ready for it. He shouldn't even try unless he develops that skill and that energy. But you ask that surgeon how much effort went into it, he will tell you. Just for some worldly gain. And here we are trying to earn Brahmanhood. We want never to come back, but we want it to be simple. We want it to be comfortable. We want it to be easy. And then the minute something happens, we try to blame God. Why did that happen to me? Why? See, this is what we are talking about. During the state of sleep, one is not aware of the multiplicity of objects, and yet one is not devoid of awareness. Deep sleep, a yogi may experience the state of deep sleep even in waking state by withdrawing his mind from the thoughts of the world. Very important sentence. Very important. If you get this properly, you will make significant strides in your spiritual journey, because most of us are doing this mechanically. We only meditate when we are sitting still. We try to go within, we find some peace, and we think we are making great progress. But here they say a yogi. Yogi is somebody who's connected to God. Yoga, connecting to God, is yoga. He may experience the state of deep sleep even in waking state, which means what? What did we just study? That the mind has gone to sleep. The mind is not functioning. The mind has become diffused, which means it's a total state of samadhi. Even while walking, talking, eating, working, the mind has been bypassed. That doesn't mean you will not know anything or you will become a fool. On the contrary, you will be more productive and more intuitive, because now mind is only an instrument that you no longer need, like your appendix. You know, the tails of the monkeys. We don't need them anymore. So that's what is happening. But we are so addicted to the mind that most people don't know how to unmind the mind. The mind has taken over and thinks it's in charge of everything. But when are you happiest? Happiest when you are in your deep sleep state. Am I wrong? Think about it. The energy, the freedom, the joy you experience in your deep sleep is much greater than any party or any intoxicating substance or anything can give you. You will reject all that in your state of deep sleep, because the joy that is coming in is much greater than all these worldly things combined. That's the point. So in this case, a yogi enters into samadhi. That is called the state of samadhi. Samadhi. Sam means neutral state. Then you are in that state of bliss. When the intensity of sleep weakens, one enters into dream or waking state. So that's what happens. When the mind, your mind has not permanently diffused itself. It still very much exists. So it keeps getting bored. Okay, now I want to eat my breakfast. Now I want to eat my lunch. Now I want to eat my dinner. Now I want to be in my living room. Now I want to go into someplace else. Now I want to go to the market. Isn't that what you do? But who are you? Isn't your mind telling you to do all these things? You are doing all these things through your mind. And much in the same way, it's your mind that makes you go to bed. It's through that mind you dream. And when the mind gets bored in the dream, it goes to deep sleep. And when the mind gets out finally, enough of its that joy, then it comes back again. Because in this human body, those are the only three things we know. But there is a fourth state. It's called Turiya. Turiya means the transcendental state beyond this waking dream, deep sleep, which is what yogis try to do. Yogis are serious spiritual aspirants. We can call them advanced sadhaks or yogis. So they enter into the transcendental state of the self, which means they are no longer connected with the body, the senses, the mind, the intellect, and the ego. These five things that are there, which make up so much of our daily being, existence. And many people, by the way, die only like that. They die thinking they are the body. They die thinking I made all this. I raised a big family. I had a big possession. I did this. I did that. I'm very happy. And that's fine. In some other embodiment, eventually like this Vyadha, the dawn, the final realization will come, and then they will make progress. There is no rush. Mother Nature lovingly waits for each of her child to come back, whether you are an ant or a plant or a mosquito. So that's why we say we are so blessed as human beings, so blessed. It is Turiya that sustains and interpenetrates the three states. That state is called Samadhi, outside the three. And that is when your consciousness expands. That is what is the state of Sakshatkar, we call of God realization, self-realization, Ishwar Drishti, Prabhu Drishti, all these things we can call. But that is that state. Then in that state, you will keep that state when you do anything. And that's what Jivan Mukta saints are, like our Guruji, Swami Ji, and all these people, all the saints who are enlightened sages and saints have achieved that state through many embodiments, many embodiments from their past lives. And you and I also, through many embodiments, we have reached this state. We have not just started spirituality now, especially those of us that are advanced on this path and who have spiritual preceptors and gurus. It's a big, huge blessing. So when the illusion of the three states is overcome, it is Turiya that shines as the reality. Hari Om Tat Sat. So with this, we will conclude our satsang for today, and we will cover section 138 and 139. As you can see, this is very deep spiritual philosophy, practice, scripture, the blending of the Muni's soul with the soul of the individual. So first he went in, then he connected with the dream, then he connected with the deep sleep. See how beautifully we are navigating this path together. So that we will study in next Friday's satsang. So we will see you on Sunday morning for Srimad Bhagavad Gita satsang between 10:30 to 10:45 or so. Please join us then, and we will continue our chapter 6 meditation. Hari Om Tat Sat. So let us do Aarti together, and we will conclude our satsang for today. Hari Om, Hari Om. Okay. जय जय आरती विघ्न विनायक श्री गणेशा। जय जय आरती सुब्रमण्य कार्तिकेया। जय जय आरती वेणुगोपाला वेणुलोला पाप विदुरा नवनीत चोरा। जय जय आरती वेंकटरमणा संकट हरणा। सीतारामा राधे श्यामा। जय जय आरती गौरी मनोहर भवानी शंकर। सांबा सदा शिव उमा महेश्वर जय जय आरती राज राजेश्वरी राज राजेश्वरी त्रिपुर सुंदरी महाकाली महालक्ष्मी महासरस्वती महाशक्ति जय जय आरती आंजनेया आंजनेया हनुमंता जय जय आरती दत्तात्रेया दत्तात्रेया त्रिमूर्ति अवतारा जय जय आरती सद्गुरुनाथा सद्गुरुनाथा शिवानंदा सद्गुरुनाथा ज्योतिर्मयानंदा सद्गुरुनाथा साई बाबा जय जय आरती विघ्न विनायक न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चंद्र तारकम नेमा विद्युतो भाति कुतो यम अग्निः तमेव भान्तम् अनुभाति सर्वं तस्य भाषा सर्वमिदं विभाति ओम शांति 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 ओम त्र्यंबकं यजामहे सुगंधिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मोक्षीयमामृतात् ओम करचरणकृतं वा कायजं कर्मजं वा श्रवणनयनजं वा मानसं वापराधं विहितं वा सर्वमेतत्क्षमस्व जय जय करुणाब्धे श्री महादेव शंभो जय जय करुणाब्धे श्री महादेव शंभो जय जय करुणाब्धे श्री महादेव शंभो समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु ओम ब्रह्मर्पणं ब्रह्महवि ब्रह्मग्नौ ब्रह्मणाहुतं ब्रह्मैव तेन गन्तव्यं ब्रह्मकर्म समाधिनः अहं वैश्वानरो भूत्वा प्राणिनां देहमाश्रितः प्राण अपान समायुक्ता पचामन्यं चतुर्विधं हरिः ओम तत्सत् ब्रह्मर्पणमस्तु समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु ओम शांति 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. Those of you who are on Zoom, Aaron ji and Parvati ji, humble pranams, and all of those who I see on Facebook. And if I miss anybody, I apologize because sometimes these comments all don't show up clearly. But I can see Yogini ji is here. Continue with your blissful journey. Priya ji, thank you for being here as you always are. May you have good health, all of you. Health, good health, wisdom. Rita Chen ji, namaste. God bless you. Shri Ram ji, you are always such a wonderful resource and so nice of you to always join the satsangas. And Taran ji, Shakti Bhakti Mukti, I hope you're doing well in Canada. Hope all is going well. Ranjita ji, आप तो स्वामी ललिता प्रियानंदा जी से भी बहुत जुड़ी हैं. She tells me about you and thank you for joining our satsang also. And all of you beautiful souls. Or Vanessa Garcia, welcome, pranams. And those of you, anybody, if I have missed, my blessings are with each one of you. Continue to enjoy this path. This is the only path that is going to be of any significance after we we earn the spiritual wealth together. And so make it your daily practical life. We do these two satsangas Friday and Sunday, and Swami LP does it on Thursday evenings on Srimad Bhagavatam. So we pray for everybody's good health, happiness, joy, bliss, and may all your loved ones also, whoever are not watching, may also they get this benefit. And may you spread this wisdom, become instruments in the divine plan, each one of you. God bless you. Shakti, Bhakti, Mukti. And we will see you on Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. Between 10:30 and 11. We start our Bhagavad Gita program then. And that is also for about 90 minutes. And That way we start our new week and we end our new week today that we have just finished, and we always think of God all the time. Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Shakti Bhakti Mukti. I will take leave now and we will see you on Sunday. Om Tat Sat.